Can you feel the presence and calling of your loved one or spirit guide? Have you been feeling an intuitive feeling that they're trying to communicate with you? Perhaps you keep coming across the same numbers, certain synchronicities, songs, and so on. Hi, my loves. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how our loved ones and spirit team constantly and often communicate with us. I recently made a video on 3 ways that you can communicate with your loved ones or spirit guides. And in this video, I'm going to be going over how they communicate with you. Before we begin, one thing that I would like for you to keep in mind and to remind you of is that we are eternal beings of love and light. We are energy. So your loved one or your spirit team is always with you. Just because they're not here with you physically and you don't physically see them does not mean that they're not with you energetically. They're very much always connecting with you, or at least when you need them to. They're very much there all around you. Sometimes we even just feel their presence around, whether that's just a warm feeling, a little tingling sensation, and so much that we're going to be diving into. So allow me to remind you that you are always connected with your loved one and your spirit team. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right in. I'm going to be diving into 10 different signs that your loved one or spirit guide is trying to communicate with you. Number 1, repeated numbers. Do you constantly or coincidentally see the same number almost every time? And the way that it happens is that you could be busy, not even meaning to look at the clock when you do, or see this number when you do, and it's like you'll see 222 or 111 often without even meaning to, without intention. Repeated numbers have special meanings behind them, and it's a way of your angels and loved ones to communicate with you. Now, you may wonder, but what do these repeated numbers mean? What are they trying to say with these numbers? And there's different ways that you can figure out what they're trying to say through these numbers. However, my personal way of determining what they're trying to say is, number 1, to tune in to the energy and your thoughts and your feelings in that moment. Every time that you see this repeated number, take a moment to pause and become present. What are you feeling and thinking at that very moment? From there, once you're able to feel out the energy, okay, I was just having a thought about how I should start eating better, start eating healthier, how I was just having thoughts about how I should call my mom, who I haven't called in the past 2 weeks. That could be a sign that your loved one or your angels are saying, hey, you should get on that. They're giving you that guidance and that push to actually follow through with that thought. Along with feeling out the energy of what you're feeling when you keep seeing these numbers, is also to look up the definition of that number. And I know that there's a lot of different meanings that you're going to come across. However, for me, I intuitively feel out which meaning resonates with me. For example, let's say that you keep seeing 111 and right now everything is going just fine with work. You don't really have any issues around work. However, you are having concerns around your relationships. If you're seeing 111, and a lot of times 111 represent balance or new beginnings, it could represent that you're going to find some sort of new beginning in your relationship, since that is the area where you need guidance in. Does that sort of make sense? So think about where you are in your life and where you could use guidance, and perhaps that is where your guide or your loved one is trying to give you guidance in. Number 2, vivid dreams or meditation. Do you often find yourself waking up and feeling like you had a dream that was super real? It's almost like, how could that not have been real, right? Because it felt so vivid. Everything felt so realistic. A lot of times when we have dreams like that, pay attention to what that dream was about. What conversations did you have in that dream? What happened in the dream? and reflect on what that dream showed you. Perhaps you had a dream with your loved one or your spirit guide. And a lot of times, spirit guide will come through in different forms. It's not always a physical form. It could be an animal or anything else. But if you feel significant with that being, then that could be that was your spirit guide. For example, I personally had a dream with one of my guides, and the way that my guide came through was as a pony or a unicorn almost. And I'm remembering the dream, I felt a significant connection to this unicorn pony type of animal. And when I woke up, it all made sense to me because I felt very comforted and at ease connecting to this being. If you are someone that meditates, you could also begin to have very intense and vivid meditations where you start to see color and patterns and certain things through your meditations. You could start experiencing really vivid meditations with your loved ones or your spirit guides, where you see them come in and talk to you or do certain things, and you may feel like it's just your mind, like you're just making it up or making up a story, when you're not. It is indeed them communicating and connecting with you. Number 3, electrical interference. Oh my goodness, this is one that has been happening a lot with me lately. And it's where you're in your home, going about your business, minding your business, and all of a sudden the TV starts to glitch, the lights start to flicker, the clocks start flickering as well. It's just all types of random electrical activity that sort of have no explanation, and they're sort of ongoing. So it'll happen more than once or twice, even 3 to 4 or 5 times. For me, it happens all of the time. And at this point, I'm like, yes, what would you guys like to tell me? So that's also a way that sometimes spirit or your loved one is just saying hi or trying to get your attention. Again, just focus into what you're feeling or thinking in that moment. Sometimes they just do it to be funny. You'll be surprised how many times spirit just simply wants to say hi or just simply play and mess around with you. Number 4, higher level of intuition. What this means is that your intuition will be heightened. You're going to start knowing or getting downloads or random thoughts that may not completely make sense to you or may sound like your own voice, but in reality, it is coming from a loved one or your spirit guide. That is actually how I'm able to communicate with spirit when I do readings, is through my intuition. I simply know things. They simply come down to me, and I just know that your loved one loved eating cupcakes in the mornings with their coffee. I just intuitively know that their favorite color was purple, and so on. It sort of just comes to me, and I just know it without really knowing how I know it, if that makes sense. So you may notice that your intuition may heighten. And so it's important to be present so that you can pay attention to these thoughts that are not actually coming from your own mind, but they're coming from your guides, your angels, and your loved ones. Number 5, songs, music. This is one of my favorite and most meaningful ways to communicate with spirit, or when they are trying to communicate with me, just because I feel like it'll be oftentimes when I'll be listening to music and the right songs with the right lyrics come on that really explain and relate to what I'm going through in that moment. Or perhaps it could be a song that reminds you of your loved one. Maybe it was their favorite song. Or maybe that song really speaks to you in that moment of how you're feeling and thinking. This is a really great and powerful way that our loved ones and spirit communicate with us. And it's sort of like a message in the song, you know? It's like, that's exactly what you needed to hear. That is exactly the reminder that you needed at that moment. Number 6, synchronicities. Synchronicities are simply meaningful coincidences that happen more than 2 or 3 times, or even coming across certain symbols like feathers. And like I said, the repeated numbers happening over and over again. So you may notice different type of things like this that are placed in your path. And those are synchronicities, things that happen over and over. And it's not a coincidence. It is happening for a reason. And so it's important to pay attention. Number 7, nature. Our loved ones and our guides and angels often love to communicate with us through nature, it being animals, pets, insects, whatever it is. They'll often use butterflies, dragonflies, birds, and even our pets as signs to get us to pay attention and become present, or to simply say hello. And again, you can look up the meaning of that particular nature being that you're seeing. If you're seeing butterflies, think about it. What is the meaning of a butterfly? It means transformation. Or maybe your loved one loved butterflies. Maybe whenever you guys were together, you would always see a dragonfly, or they had a dragonfly tattooed on them, or whatever it is. Think about the symbol, the symbolism behind the things that you're coming across and what they could mean. Number 8, scents. Sometimes we just have a certain smell or a whiff of our loved one's favorite perfume, or maybe something that they used to cook for you. Or out of nowhere, you smell this really aromatic, warm type of smell, and you know that it's nothing in your space, but you just smell this really nice, warm, loving smell. Number 9, feeling their presence, which also goes in hand with number 10, which is sudden chills. So with feeling your loved one's presence, it could just be something subtle, it could be something random, where you just feel like someone is there. You know that feeling when you think that someone is behind you and then they are there, or you just feel that energy sort of come up around you. This is the same way that a lot of times our loved ones and spirit guides will come around in the space that we're in. Aside from feeling that presence, you may get chills. The temperature in the room may change. It may get warmer or colder, or even a rush of emotions. Maybe you'll start thinking about them out of nowhere, and you'll start thinking about certain memories with your loved ones. Or you'll get a rush of happiness and joy, or whatever it is. These are all indications that your loved ones and your guides are communicating with you. The important thing here, my beautiful soul friend, is for you to be present, to be aware enough to know when these signs and synchronicities and symbolisms are coming through for you. It's for you to be present and aware enough to know when they're trying to communicate with you. And again, it doesn't always have to be this big, meaningful, or super deep message. Sometimes it's them just saying hello, just saying hi, just letting you know that they're there with you and to bring you to the present moment. So these are just a few ways that you can know when spirit is trying to communicate with you or how they communicate with you. Again, just paying attention is what's most important here. And let me know below, how do your loved ones and spirit guides communicate with you? What type of experiences have you had that are unique, or even some of that I mentioned? I'd love to hear about it. All right, beautiful being, thank you so much for watching this video today, and I hope that you have found it insightful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to address and answer any questions that you may have as we embark on this journey of spirituality and self-discovery and higher consciousness together. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!